Hey guys, so I have a kind of controversial video today. Actually, I'm going to talk about coming out of veganism, being an ex-vegan, being a recovering vegan, and I'm going to tell you my experience. I was vegan for 5 years. I have a history of loving animals so deeply. I mean, stemming from when I was like 3 years old, being traumatized by taxidermy, not being able to understand why people would put an animal's head on the wall as decor, and you know how we have normalized that, and me just not being able to wrap my brain around the morbidness of taxidermy. Always having animals growing up, and then once I became an adult, I started fostering dogs and cats. I would bottle feed baby kittens that were abandoned, and I have fostered probably about 40 dogs. Some of them lived with me for like a year before they got adopted. Some of them got adopted and returned a few times. I really wanted to stop eating animals. I will start with what was going on in my life when I decided to stop eating animal products. I had just went through a very traumatic breakup. So I was actively going through trauma. Both me and my parents decided to go vegan together. We were doing it for both the animals and our health. I stayed vegan for 5 years. My parents stopped and started eating animal products again. I actually felt better at first, and I actually lost weight, and I felt more ethically aligned. It felt right to me. The more that I learned about vegan culture, I realized a lot of vegan culture I did not identify with. And it was mainly the cultiness. A lot of vegans are just very unreasonable and really hateful. Because I grew up eating animal products. I'm not going to shame somebody for eating animal products. It's a personal choice. They need to have their own personal conviction. And until they do, you can't force anybody to do anything. Everybody is free to make decisions for their own health and their own life. Finding vegan friends was not always the easiest because I didn't always have things in common with other vegans. Dating in the vegan world, that was like, wasn't gonna happen for me as much as I wanted it to. You're probably not gonna like what I have to say, but all the vegan guys that I ever met, big weirdos. They were just, I don't know. I mean, the vegan girls, I met some really cool vegan chicks, but vegan dudes, it wasn't gonna happen. So anyways, over time, there started to become a lot of stress around food for me. Not only was I not eating dairy, eggs, meat, but I also wasn't eating gluten, and that was because of the gluten allergy. So that made my options very, very limited when I left the house. And I traveled for work at the time. So you can only imagine the stress that I went through trying to find something to eat and how long everything took. When somebody would invite me to go out to eat, to go out to dinner for their birthday, I would have to look at the menu to see if there was anything that I can eat. 9 out of 10, there wasn't anything that I could eat. When I was traveling, if there was nothing to eat, I would resort to French fries because that was the easiest, quickest thing that I could find, and that was not healthy. When I was at home, I ate pretty healthy because I cooked for myself. So I got organic veggies, I would make veggie rice bowls, tacos, I would make carrot pasta. So I would get like really creative with veggies. I didn't do the fake meat thing. I didn't do a ton of processed food. I would strive to eat pretty healthy and pretty organic. Over time, my health started really declining. I was dealing with issues like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. I was getting migraines. I was having issues with depression, with anxiety. I had PTSD. To try to help myself, I would cut out sugar. I would try to clean up my diet, and maybe it would help for a little bit, but then the fatigue issues would come right back. The pain would come right back. I was working with a nutritionist. She thought that I wasn't absorbing enough protein, that even with the plant protein that I was taking in, it was not enough for me. I was very deficient in a lot of things. my immune system was pretty wiped out. I had a lot of gut issues. So I had gut infections. I had tons of inflammation in my body. So even though I was eating healthy, it was not enough for me to be balanced. She wanted me to experiment with some grass-fed meat, some organic chicken, some wild-caught fish. To me, hearing that felt so devastating because I was convinced that I was not ever going to eat an animal ever again. Everybody would ask me the question, well, what if it's life or death and it's coming down to survival and you're in a position where there's no food left and you have to eat an animal? And I would say, well, I guess I'm gonna die. That is the stronghold that veganism had on me and may have had on you or people that you know. And when you're in it, you feel like it's very honorable. You feel like you're doing the right thing. You neglect yourself. You neglect your health. It's a form of people pleasing because you are putting animals before yourself. And trust me, I love animals. And it is my instinct to want to put animals before myself. But what my nutritionist had to talk to me about is, what good am I to animals if I'm dead, if I'm unhealthy? What can I really offer them? And this clearly is not the best for my health. I have babies at home that I need to take care of. And if I want to continue fostering, this is something that I need to be well for. I need to have enough energy for. I had to come to the realization that I did need to put myself first in order to be there for others. I am convinced that all or most vegans are probably chronic people pleasers. Selfless to the point where it's unhealthy to stick it out with veganism and to neglect their own health. I do not believe that it is sustainable long term. We live in a very toxic world that our soil, our air, our water, our vegetables are so damaged that it's not something that we could live off of alone. Also, going back to the Bible, there's so many places in the Bible where God talks about eating meat. And think about the burnt offerings that they did in the Bible for God. They would sacrifice animals because of their sin, and they would do burnt offerings. And the burnt offerings was because God liked the smell of barbecue. And that used to always be so twisted to me. And even now when I think about it, it still kind of makes me a little uncomfortable. But eating meat was so normal. If I could survive off of not eating meat, yes, I would prefer that. But I do have to prioritize my health. So I decided to bring in some meat. I started with wild-caught fish. I started with cod, and then I did salmon. Did not have any negative reactions. Neither emotional or physical reactions when I ate that. I actually felt kind of good. It was a little hard for me to admit that I felt kind of good after I ate it, but it just took some time. It took some getting used to, because I went 5 years, you guys, with being so convinced that eating animals was so morbid and something that I would never do again. So once I got back into eating animals, it felt very foreign for me. The next thing that I ate was chicken, and then I had grass-fed beef. And then after that, I had some bacon. I actually felt very sustained. What I was eating was life-giving. I had to accept that this is what I was doing for my health, and it was okay. So now, I am literally recovering from my vegan diet. Being so deficient was partially a result of me having a vegan diet. I know there's other factors, stress and trauma and other toxins, but I did not have a good healthy base in my physical body that I was working with because I was so deficient. I was off balance and my nutrition was just off. Over time, another thing that I forgot to mention is all that weight that I had lost, I gained plus more. So I got really heavy. I was super unhealthy and I was uncomfortable. Now that I am eating animal products, I actually have lost almost 30 pounds. I lost basically everything that I had gained. I now can go out to eat with friends and find something to eat. Now, am I against you if you're a vegan? No. I mean, if you're a jerk and you're telling people that they hate animals because they eat them, or putting them down because they are going back to eating meat because they had health issues, and you're that closed-minded that you're that culty vegan is gonna judge everyone, then yeah, you're probably not gonna be my friend. If it's a personal decision that you made, you feel right about it, you're healthy, and it works for your body, great. Actually, most people that I know that have eaten vegan have health issues, or a lot of them are no longer vegan. There's that. You know, if you can relate, drop your experience in the comments. If you have an issue with me no longer being vegan, sounds like a personal problem. If you have chronic health issues and you are vegan, please consider your diet. It might be contributing. I highly recommend talking to a nutritionist. Good luck, you guys. Thanks for listening. Follow, like, subscribe, all of that crap, and see you next time.